Hello everyone, this is part 40 of What If Naruto Had the Ultimate Dojutsu, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Having left the entrance of Kiri behind, Naruto and his group continued to walk through the streets of Kiri as the places and shops were bustling from the attraction. Naruto could see many political figures around the area along with the guards as well as many merchants. It was the Chunin exams after all, and Naruto knew that since Konoha had theirs 2 years ago it was still quite a ways from that time. He only remembered how short they had been since Suna and Oto's invasion. It seemed that the word had spread through the nations about that, and Kiri had increased security so that nothing like that would happen. So when do the exams start? Naruto asked while Yugao, in some standard Jonin attire, placed her hand into her pouch and pulled out a sheet of paper. They are to start tomorrow at precisely an hour before noon. Mai-sama will give her speech to the genin groups and then they will fight. Are you anxious, Naruto-kun? Yugao asked while the tall blonde gave a simple smile. He could see some people taking in his appearance and a few murmurs came from their mouths. Some about how strong the Uzumaki clan actually and how big the clan had to be with the combination of the Inuzuka clan. Also about the Kekai Genkai Kage that had been the youngest person in history to assume the Hokage position. They can't take their eyes off you. I don't like it, Yugito said with a light groan. Naruto chuckled softly before he gently rubbed Yugito's side, getting a twitch from her, then did the same to Yugao, which made her stiffen. Ah, don't be jealous. I love you both. If anything, they should be jealous of you, Naruto said, getting both girls to blush before they heard a shout. Naruto-kun. Fu shouted as the Rokudaime Hokage and his 2 associates turned around. Naruto smiled seeing Fu walking up to him along with her temporary team. Fu had gotten taller over the month of living in Kiri. Her green hair was longer and went past her neckline. It rested at the grip of her shoulders and she lost the white clothing she had used to wear. Now she had black shorts and an orange sleeveless shirt while her mesh armor covered her legs and arms. On her back was her cloth that she kept folded, and Naruto was sure that he could see a lot of Fuinjutsu seals on it, but didn't comment yet. He also noticed that Ino and Chuji had gotten taller as well. Ino looked a lot more feminine as her blonde hair covered one of her eyes just like Mei's. Her usual purple attire now covered the rest of her body. In short, Kiba was very lucky. And Chuji really got bigger. No doubt Naruto would see something fun. Yo Fu-chan, you made it, Naruto said before he was surprised when Fu wrapped her arms around his en and quickly Asuma. Chuji and Ino sputtered at the act of familiarity between the 2 shinobi while Yugito rolled her eyes and Yugao snorted at the cheap shot that Fu just dealt them. You seem to have been having fun, Naruto said before he got a punch to the shoulder. Fun? It's all not fun. If this wasn't for Team 8 I would still be angry. HMPH, so you're coming to watch? Fu asked while Naruto nodded. That's right. I've come to watch. Have to see the rest of you tear up the fields, Naruto said, paying close attention to Team 8. Ino and Chuji grinned while Asuma sighed. It was just going to be of a bother from now on. Also Naruto-kun, I have something to tell you. It's urgent, Fu said, getting a glare from Yugito and Yugao. Naruto's eyes turned serious and grew cold to Fu's seriousness. He nodded and he turned back to Asuma. Mind if I borrow Fu-chan? Naruto asked while Asuma nodded. He beckoned for Chuji and Ino to follow him. Both gave Naruto a goodbye wave while Naruto turned to Fu. Come on, Mai-chan said that she assigned us a room. We'll go there, Naruto said, and everyone agreed as they quickened their pace and disappeared into the crowd. Hotel room. Naruto closed the blinds and placed a privacy seal against the door. So long as it wasn't overloaded by sound, nothing would be heard from the inside. Yugito and Yugao were leaning against the walls while Fu sat against the bed. She told everything that Konan had told her to tell him that month ago, and Naruto seethed as he balled his fists. So Akatsuki knows about Kasumi-chan and Konan is participating in this exam for obvious reasons. How did they find out? Naruto asked dangerously, and everyone could tell that it wasn't the tone of the Hokage asking that. It was the tone of a father already protecting his child. Conan-san said that they received the information from a spy in Konoha. It wasn't told to her, so she doesn't know who it is. She just knows that Akatsuki doesn't, seemingly, have any intents on taking Kasumi-chan, but she wanted you to know just in case, Fu explained, and Naruto felt the need to keep his rage under control. It made it better that they weren't going to try anything, but even knowing that they knew would be sort of tough. Naruto knew that word would spread about Kasumi from how Konoha's structure works. Plus it was sort of obvious with how big she had gotten. Kasumi was already 4 or 5 months in at the moment. He would have been notified by Haku if anything was going to happen to her, but maybe he was being paranoid. Have you met with Kasumi-chan recently? Naruto asked, and Fu nodded confidently. Yes, she's gotten bigger as you would expect. She talks about cramps sometimes and how it's hard to fall asleep, so Haku, Hana, myself, Kurenai, Kushina, Nibi and Nanabi each take turns staying up and helping her to go to sleep. I think she's just having a contraction is all, Fu said. She had studied a bit of medical ninjutsu just because it was good to know. Naruto breathed a sigh as he sat into a chair. Just wasn't going well at the moment. And Tsukasa? Naruto asked while Fu nodded. Kasumi claims that she's been busy trying to keep all of her power from leaking into the baby. She's apologized because some of it has leaked, but not enough to be a threat. It just means that she, your baby, will be more powerful at a young age, but nothing major, Fu explained again. Naruto nodded and stood up. All right then. Thank you, Fu-chan. I don't have anything to do till tomorrow, so can you take me to Kasumi-chan? Naruto asked, and Fu nodded as they opened the door and left. The place where the others were staying wasn't far from Naruto's hotel, and Fu guided him inside. Look who I brought with me, Fu said, making everyone look up to see Naruto, Yugito and Yugao come into the room. Naruto, you're here. I knew you'd be coming. You wouldn't miss this, Kiba said with his arms around Ino and Tenten, who was smiling. Naruto gave a bright grin with a shake of his head. He then turned to see Kasumi resting in the bed. She smiled at Naruto sweetly, and the blonde noticed her tail moving under the sheets. Obviously she was overjoyed to see him. Everyone smiled as Naruto knelt down next to Kasumi while she held out her hand. Naruto gently took it and stroked it. How are you doing? Naruto asked before Kasumi asked for him to come closer. Naruto leaned over and Kasumi licked his cheek, which got a rise from everyone. Kasumi was a lot older now. Her canines were a lot more noticeable to Naruto. It seemed that he could tell she was wearing Kushina's old clothes, which was a high-collared, sleeveless blouse with a long, loose-fitting dress suitable to fit all sizes for women. Especially those like Kasumi. Fine, Naruto-sama. Just very tired at the moment, Kasumi said while Naruto smiled sympathetically at her. He kissed her cheek while he sat on the edge of the bed. He then looked over everyone in the room, but he noticed someone missing. Where is Sasuke? Naruto asked while Kiba snorted. He disappeared into Kiri's forest a month ago. Something about solo training. Itachi went to go look for him. He'd just better show up tomorrow, I guess, Kiba answered while Naruto nodded. He chuckled while he shook his head. He couldn't wait to see what Sasuke and Fu could come up with. He hadn't been told that they made it, but he knew that Fu had been training hard, so she must have made it along with Sasuke. That guy wouldn't lose like that. I see. Well, I'll need to go and see Mei-chan soon, so I'll have to leave for a bit. Kimimaro, Tayuya, please continue to watch Kasumi-chan please, Naruto said while Kimimaro bowed and Tayuya snorted. Please, we're all over it, she said, and Naruto got up to leave, but he gave his mother a glare that she had spotted. She stood up and followed Naruto out, leaving the others to talk. You needed to see me? Kushina asked seriously. She was about to mock that seriousness, but seeing Naruto's eyes she knew it wasn't the time for a joke. Akatsuki knows about Kasumi-chan, Naruto said, and Kushina stiffened. She knew that Iwagakure had known about her. It was one of the many things that had made her anxious. I see. So what are you going to do? Kushina asked her son, and Naruto folded his arms. He leaned against the wall and closed his eyes. I don't know. I was happy that Conan told Fu to tell me. And she said that they weren't planning on doing anything. What do you think I could do? Naruto asked while Kushina placed a finger to her chin. I don't know. The idea of a spy isn't so far-fetched. No matter how liked you are by the Konoha populace, There are people who, sadly, still hate you for Kyuubi, which wasn't her fault to begin with, but I do see your point. All I can say for now is that you keep your guard up, Kushina said while Naruto agreed. He would have to keep it up. Alright, thank you, Ka-chan. Well, I've got to go see Mei-chan now. I'll come back later, Naruto said before he disappeared. Kushina watched him leave and with a short sigh she turned around and left to go back into the room. With Sasuke. Underneath a waterfall was a tall brunette Uchiha in a meditative pose. He had been there for about 2 days before he opened his onyx eyes to see his older brother in front of him. When I said that you should take a shower, that wasn't what I meant, Itachi said with a smile as he held out his hand. Sasuke snorted and grabbed it while Itachi pulled him up. Sasuke whipped his hair free of the water while Itachi smiled. Are you actually going to be on time this time? Itachi asked as Genma had told him of Sasuke's last Chunin exam. Sasuke sighed and grabbed a towel and placed it over his head. He then walked past Itachi and picked up the Raijin no Ken. Sasuke strapped it to his waist before a smile crept into his face and her turned around. Don't worry about that. Just know that I'll finally be able to actually enjoy this one more than the last one, Sasuke said while Itachi snorted. He would have commented, but there was presence there for them. So this is where the Uchiha prodigies are. You wouldn't mind your former sensei watching you, would you? Kakashi asked while Sasuke grinned. Just try not to be too amazed, he said walking off while Kakashi and Itachi glanced at each other. Both shrugged their shoulders before they followed Sasuke through the woods. With Naruto, I look forward to a fun Chunin exam, Naruto said as he closed the door. Mei grumbled and picked up a pen before she continued her job. Oh, she could come up with something interesting for the Hokage could do for her. She hoped that he wouldn't immediately leave after the Chunin exam so that he could repay her. Well, I hope he likes it. Still, why did Reikage and Tsuchikage have to come? Oh, that's right, it's for the good of Kirime-sama. It will improve relations with the other villages, Mei-sama. We need to expand our reach as Mei-sama. HMPHB. I hate you, Owl, Mei said to herself before she continued to get her work done. Next morning, Kiri was quickly up in a big celebration. People were all walking together towards the Kiri Chunin exam stadium. People filled the rows and columns. Daimyo from other countries, nobles, heirs, civilians and shinobi from other village came also. People could see members of Kiri's Anbu across the rooftops while in the center was Ao, who was the exam proctor. In the middle of the seats were the UNI clan. Kiba was sitting with the rest of the family and some of their members. Hana and Tsume were right next to him, as was Kushina, Kurenai, Nibi and Nanabi. They were all looking down at the field. Next to Kasumi was Kimimaro and Tayuya, both still guarding her. Not that Kasumi minded or cared. They were good company for her considering their ages. It seems bigger than the last time, Kiba commented while Hana nodded. Yeah, Kiri actually had a lot more finalists than Konoha did. It just shows that they are like this for a reason, Hana responded as Kiba smiled. How could he not? Ino and Tenten had made it to the finals. As did Fu, Neji and Sasuke, who actually showed up much to Itachi and Kakashi's surprise. Choji, Hinata and Shino made it as well. All their teams made it. Even some Kiri, Kumo and Iwa shinobi did. No Suna shinobi, which was something they all noticed. Hey, where is Haku? She's going to miss it, Kushina asked, and Kasumi decided to answer her question. She said that she was going get some things from the house and would return in a few moments, Kasumi said while Kushina nodded. It was almost hard to hear over all the people talking with each other, but she could make it out. And how do you think Hokage-sama is doing? This is his first Chunin exam, Tsume said while others giggled. Kiba looked up at the ceiling where directly overhead Naruto and the rest of the cage were sitting. Mei smiled in her chair looking down at the platform, as did a wearing his Reikage hat a little low on his head. Tsuchikage was right across from him wearing his own. Next to Mei was Naruto, also wearing the hat. All four had the guards behind them. Onoki had Atsuki and Kuretsuki, had Shi and Darui, Mei only need Chojuro, and Naruto had Yugito and Yugao. So another Chunin exam has arrived, huh? I asked while everyone else nodded. The first one where one of us should be still wearing his shinobi diapers, Onoki mouthed, but everyone heard him. Naruto's eyebrow twitched as he knew that was a jab at him specifically. He only chuckled and formed a small grin. Then don't stop us from having you leave Tsuchikage Dono, The blonde countered and Onoki just laughed it off. Atsuki narrowed his eyes at Naruto, but Kuretsuki actually found the joke to be very funny, though she hid it well. Cheeky brat, Onoki said while Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Mei decided to defuse the situation fast before the two actually got into each other's tea before the exam even started. Tsuchikage dono, Hokage dono. I ask that you both restrain yourselves. I wouldn't like my village to be caught in the crossfire between you two, Mei said, and agreed with that. Honestly, if they pitted Naruto against Onoki, they didn't know who would win. The old and experienced Tsuchikage with his dust release, or the young, powerful Hokage with his Shinseinagon that was capable of actually making him a Hokage as well as an S-rank shinobi. Yeah, Mayora didn't want to just who would win that. Yeah, forgive me Mizukage dono. I wouldn't do that to your village. I wouldn't want you to melt me, Naruto said with a snicker that got both Mei and her to laugh. Onoki just snorted, but he didn't say anything. All of the guards were happy about the diffused situation just before a stupid question was asked. So Hokage dono, how is that girl? What was her name? Kasumi, how is she doing? Onoki asked, and Yugito balled her fists while Yugao just gave a look of sheer annoyance. Naruto smiled and did a light snicker, and Mei was sure that she could see the red S in Naruto's eyes before he calmed down. Kasumi-chan's doing very well. And we're coming along just fine after all. I'm glad you're so worried. Though I'd like it if your shinobi stopped trying to pay her visits. I know you're concerned, but I think we can handle it just fine, Naruto said, continuing to smile. He knew that he'd jabbed Onoki with that one, but didn't make a move to act on seeing the result. Well, I guess it's time to see what we all came to see, Mei said as everyone just finished talking long enough to see Ao stop speaking to the genin in front of him. And now some words from Mizukage-sama, he said, drawing people's attention up top. Naruto watched Mei get up from her seat and advance towards the front of the railing. Since years past, we have used these Chunin exams to showcase the strength of our villages. We've used them to improve relations with each other as well as to show our clients who suits us best. We have always used these as a place of honor and trials. Let the Chunin exams begin, Mei announced, and multiple people cheered out loud for her speech while she sat down. The other Hokage smirked and Naruto looked down momentarily to see Fu looking up at him. She grinned while Naruto gave her a quick nod. He then turned to see Sasuke, who was staring up at him as well. The two shared an understanding glare, but nothing more. All right then. Now that you've made yourselves known, we shall see what you're worth. First match is Fu Uzumaki versus Kuro Tatsumaki, Ao said, and people cheered while others muttered over the name Uzumaki. Everyone left the field, just leaving the Fuinjutsu mistress and her Iwa target alone. Well, it's my lucky day. I get to revenge Iwa by defeating one of that bastard's followers, Kuro said while Fu rolled her eyes. She didn't feel like talking. In fact, it would be a disgrace to Fuinjutsu to even unveil what she had hidden. Fu dropped her orange cloak to the ground before she dropped into the traditional Uzumaki stance that Naruto and Kushina had taught her together. Just shut up and fight, the Nanabi Jinchuriki said while Ao raised his hand. Begin, he shouted as Kuro threw a kunai at Fu. She merely stepped to the side in a blur of speed that left the audience stunned. She then quickly did a hand sign and threw a kunai towards Kuro. Ninpo, Kage kunai no jutsu, Fu shouted as multiple kunai began to appear. She was as Kuro rolled to the side and out of the before they both noticed people cheering. He then threw a shuriken at Fu, but watch as she caught it and sent it back at him while holding a single hand sign. Kai, she shouted, and the shuriken exploded in Kuro's face while Ao jumped back just in case. Everyone watched the dust settled before they also heard a shout. Doten, Doryuden no Jutsu, Earth Release, Earth Dragon Bombs Technique, Kuro shouted as several earth shot fired towards Fu. Sasuke and the rest of the contenders watched in slight fascination while Fu backflipped away from the attack and then jumped into the air. Futon, Renkuden no Jutsu, Wind Release, Drilling Air Bullet, Fu yelled out as 3 wind bullets into the ground, pulling up the dust. Naruto watched in happiness of Fu's progress. He knew she was a hard worker. She already was a Chunin under his observation, but he knew that she hadn't even used her Fuinjutsu yet, so he still had to wait. She seems to be having fun, Kiba said with a light grin while everyone else agreed. Kushina was the only who could be slightly happier than the others. She still hasn't released the seals on her arms and legs, she said more to herself, but everyone glanced towards her. What seals? Nibby asked, and Kushina just smiled, telling everyone that sometime during this exam, she would use them. Especially if Sasuke was here. The dust dissipated and Fu narrowed her eyes before Kuro disappeared. She glared heavily before her leg was grabbed. Fu widened her eyes before she saw Kuro's smile. Doton, Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, Earth Release, Double S Decapitation Technique, Kuro shouted before he pulled Fu into the ground. Fu cursed underneath her breath while Kuro appeared in front of her. Ha ha, you suck, he said before he saw Fu's smile. The green-haired girl shook her head before she puffed in smoke. Kuro widened his eyes as the ground in front of light up brightly. Seals came across the ground while he turned to see Fu with one hand sign and her other hand on the ground. Fuinjutsu, Shunken Shizunami, Sealing Art, Instant Static Paralyzing Wave, Fu said silently, and Kuro's screams were heard as lighting ran through his body. People widened their eyes to the treatment before Kuro hit the ground and Fu walked over to him. So, do I win? She asked, and Ao just nodded and raised his hand. Winner is Fu Uzumaki, Ao said to people, and they cheered for her while Fu walked off. She looked up to Naruto and the blonde gave her a genuine smile before she returned it and walked away. Well, Hokage Dono, the first match goes to you. It seems Iwa will have to wary of this new Fuinjutsu expert, Onoki said, but Naruto didn't respond. He was just going to let them speak for him. His shinobi would show just how much they had been training. The cage watched all the fights take place, each giving their own personal comments to things that had been happening over the course of the Chunin exams. Naruto couldn't gauge others' opinions, but he knew that quite a few deserved the Chunin position. He knew that Ino, Chuji, Neji, Tenten, Hinata, Shino and Lee all deserved it. That was the Chunin position. Sasuke and Fu were Tokubutsu Jonin at best merely because of both their experiences. Sasuke being trained by Genma and Itachi, and Fu being trained by him and Kushina. He was very happy that Sasuke actually seemed to be enjoying this Chunin exam, and he could tell that many more people were hoping to see the Fuinjutsu mistress against the last Uchiha. This was just how it went on. Maybe Fu and Sasuke knew it too, but they had been beating everyone after Fu's first match. Fu defeated Akiri Nin, Lee, Ino and Chuji, while Sasuke finished Akumo Nin, Neji, Hinata and Shino. It was a very long exam, and it was getting to where the sun was setting before the entire crowd was in an uproar. Well, Hokage Dono, it seems that we're not getting attacked and two of your shinobi are left. What do you think of their position to Chunin? Or asked while Naruto smiled. First tell me what you all think, Naruto said as he turned to the three cage. Everyone glanced at each other before giving their opinions. I hate to admit it, but the Uchiha is definitely Chunin if not Jonin. Your little student should be a Chunin too, Onoki said, proclaimed, while A and Mei had basically the same assessments. Naruto then looked forward and smiled. Tokubutsu Jonin for both of them, Naruto said while everyone looked at him strangely. They all then looked at each other, but they would find out soon enough. Alright then, last match of the Chunin exams. Fu Uzumaki Namikaze vs Sasuke Uchiha, Ao shouted and the stadium roared out. 20,000 on the girl, 400,000 on the boy. All the cages could hear the bets being made on Naruto's shinobi, and while for some reason, it pissed Naruto off, he knew he couldn't do much about it. Not if he didn't want to cause some stupid national incident. Fu and Sasuke stood across from each other, and the former finally took off her orange cloth off her back and placed it on the ground. Sasuke glared at her before closing his eyes and giving a smirk. Don't think that your Fuinjutsu is going to save you, he voiced, and Fu couldn't help but give a disgruntled snort to his statement. She quickly brushed a hand through her hair while she placed a hand on her hip. It's always helped me. Why wouldn't it do so now, Uchiha? Besides, I've got one dream and it's already starting with you, Fu made known, and Sasuke opened his eyes. I'm going to show the world the power of Fuinjutsu. You'll be the first to see it firsthand, Fu verified while Ao raised his hand. Begin, he said, and Sasuke spared no time running at Fu and appearing in front of her in a blur. Fu glared hard and blocked a kick to her face. She swerved around Sasuke's body and did a sweep kick, but the Uchiha only jumped into the air to avoid it. He then noticed Fu twirl her body on her hands and push her legs into Sasuke's stomach. Sasuke grunted from the hit while Fu launched him into the air. Sasuke only managed to block most of the power in the hit with his arms, but that didn't mean that it didn't hurt. Kaiten, Gyu no Jutsu, Sasuke shouted as he sent a wave of fire over the field. Fu saw the incoming fire upon her person before it s into the ground. The crowd gasped while Sasuke smirked. However, that smirk didn't last long as his senses kicked in. Sasuke turned his head and just barely blocked a sharp overhead kick from Fu, who widened her eyes in surprise. Chidori Nagashi, Sasuke said as his body flared violently in Raiten chakra. Fu hollered from the pain before Sasuke planted a kick to her side, sending her crashing into the ground with a crash. He snorted at the unconscious Fu while he landed. "You know you could stop with the clones," he said, and Fu puffed out while he didn't even have to turn around to know that Fu was directly in the center of the fire where Sasuke had just tried to burn her. "No way. Those are fun, don't you know?" she asked while Sasuke. He then turned around showing Fu the tiger seal. She then quickly began to do her own hand signs while Sasuke finished. Kaiten, Kiryu Enden no Jutsu, Sasuke shouted as he sent a blazing fire rushing at Fu. The Nanabi Jinchuriki finished her just in time while she called out her own. Suten, Suijinheki, water release, water encampment wall, she cried out, and the fire collied with the sudden water as a heavy mist came over the area. Sasuke watched as Fu's image disappeared while he carefully touched the Raijin no Ken. He moved cautiously through the stem before he saw the back of Fu. Sasuke widened his eyes to his chance before he charged her. "You left yourself open, Fu. That will be the end of you," Sasuke said before he delivered Fu a sharp kick into the air. Fu coughed before people watched as she was sent flying into the air. Fu felt the pain in her side before she noticed Sasuke behind her. The Uchiha smirked while Fu growled. "It's over," he said as he delivered a sharp kick to Fu's side. She quickly blocked that attack before Sasuke twisted his body. It was only on instinct that Fu blocked the second kick to her body. She then smirked and grabbed Sasuke's left foot, making the Uchiha widened his eyes before he noticed her started to dissolve, and in her place were seals that wrapped around Sasuke's body. Fuan Bunshin. Sasuke wondered before he saw Fu on the ground. He turned his head to see Fu on the ground with a smirk on her face and a hand sign. "Kai!" she shouted, and Sasuke s into the ground before a loud explosion came after that. "She's really having fun, isn't she? But could she just hurry this up?" Kiba asked while others chuckled. "I guess she's just having as much fun as she can. To build up the excitement in the crowd. Do you hear these people?" Hana asked before they got another response. "But she'd better be careful. Sasuke's not through," Itachi said, getting everyone's attention. They then turned back to the field while the cages laughed. "Both are quite talented Hokage Dono. You must be proud." Mayasest and Naruto appreciated the praise on Sasuke and Fu. Both deserved it, but Fu more. She'd come so far since that first time that he met her. He was rather shocked at her dream, but it did make him happy. "That's right, they are. I'm glad for all of them," Naruto said with a sure smile. Fu waited for Sasuke to arrive before she heard cackling. Everyone did as well while Fu turned to the source of the noise. "Yes, you are talented, Fu, but I'm more talented than you," Sasuke shouted, holding the Raijin no Ken in his hands, letting its light cover the stadium. People looked in awe of the Nadaime Hokage's sword while the cage looked to Naruto, who was just smiling. "You would give a village's national treasure to an Uchiha?" Onoki asked, but Naruto just shrugged. "He's earned it. Besides, I have my swords and I don't need it. Such a thing would be much better for him than me," Naruto said, touched the sword strapped to his waist. "We love you too, Naruto-sama," Fukun said while Tyron snorted. Reiga smiled with a nod and Sira gave a thumbs up while Yugisa just laughed. "Is that so, Sasuke? Then I'll just have to be as special as you," Fu said as red chakra covered her body. Nanabi and Naruto widened their eyes to what she might do before that chakra vanished, and from Fu and everyone waited with bated breath as two of Chomai's tails appeared behind her. "I'll show you the product of my training for the month," Fu said while she grabbed the cloth on the ground and quickly shot into the air. Sasuke cursed before he saw Fu do a sharp turn and dive bomb him. The Uchiha widened his eyes to Fu's recklessness before he saw her bit her thumb. Fu traced it over her entire clothes. Various seals appeared around it and Sasuke watched as the seals attached to her body. Sasuke said before he brought his sword back. He watched it flare violently again before he noticed Fu open her hand. Naruto raised an eyebrow and gripped the arm handles of his seat before everyone noticed lightning pour from one part of the clothes. It swirled around in Fu's hand until water came out from the bottom part. The water swirled in unison with the lightning and everyone watched as earth, fire and wind came out one after the other and came together in her palm. She'd used it here. Asuma wondered. It was a newly made jutsu. One that Fu told her team that she would complete in time for this tournament. One she would show to Naruto. Her own version of his futon, Raisin Shuriken. Sasuke watched the elements balance each other out in her hands while Fu continued her speed. She ball in her hands quickly started to turn white while she hollered. Fuinjutsu, Gogyogen, Sealing Art, 5 Elemental Sphere, Fu shouted while Sasuke watched her continue to come. Chidori, Kiro Raiha no Jutsu, Lightning Edge, Yellow Thunder Blade Technique, Sasuke shouted before he swung his sword at Fu. The entire area was engulfed in a large light as Fu s her ball into Sasuke's sword. The two techniques collided against each other and even the cage had to cover their eyes slightly like everyone else while Fu and Sasuke continued to fight. Sorry, but I have a lot more to lose than you. So I won't be losing here. Fu shouted as she blasted past Sasuke's sword. The Uchiha widened his eyes as his blade was sent flying into the stands while Fu s the sphere into Sasuke's stomach. The ball began to grind into his skin before Sasuke was sent flying until he was blasted into the wall with a large explosion following. The light settled down from the explosion and various people wore shocked expressions and could only see Fu in the field. They heard cackling and an person gulped as Sasuke's sword was just inches from his face and stuck into the seat next to him. Fu huffed and her hand twitched. She could feel the tingling from it while she saw Sasuke fall to the ground unconscious. Fu fell to her knees and chuckled while Ao coughed. The winner is Fu Uzumaki, Ao announced and the crowd was silent. No one didn't know what to do, but Fu heard a lone person clapping. She turned her head and looked up to see Naruto standing on his feet clapping. He wore the brightest smile he could as a teacher and a lover while Fu smiled. Soon the audience roared in cheer while Fu walked over to clothes. She furled it before her vision felt hazy. She nearly fell before she felt herself plop to Naruto's back. Everyone wondered how the Hokage moved so fast while the blonde smiled. Only a Tokubutsu Jonin could win this entire thing and still have her enough chakra to pull that off. You did amazing Fu-chan, Naruto said before he saw medics carry Sasuke away. Itachi smiled with a nod while he got up from his seat and walked away to go and check on Sasuke. Kushina-san, what was that jutsu that? It was amazing, Hana said and Kushina chuckled while she and the rest of the family stood up to leave out while she clarified. It's a special type of fuinjutsu that Fu had been working on with Naruto. One day she had asked if elements could be stored into seals and when Naruto said yes, she had asked him if he could teach her to directly seal elements into each seal. Her cloth is also made from a special fabric that can contain multiple seals while still keeping its shape. I believe that in each part of her cloth was a kanji for each element and when she released those seals she quickly assumed control of the elements the same way that is used to make the Rasengan. With that she was able to make a fake Rasengan combining each element into her jutsu. A very strong one at that, Kushina explained. But the amount of control S-like that takes is, Tayuya trailed off while Kushina nodded. Nothing short of the control that could only come from years of practice divided into the Kage Bunshin technique. Naruto must have taught it to her as well as Kiba at one point. I wonder how many times she's passed out trying to get it to work, Kushina said and everyone was already respecting Fu a lot more as they walked out. How are you feeling Nana? Nibi asked while Nanabi shook her head. I'm fine. Just that sudden loss of chakra came a little faster than I could prepare for it. I'll be fine, Nanabi said before a small smile came across her face. Back in Konoha, next morning. She's in there Shizune-san, a scared Chunin said while Shizune gulped. She opened the door and saw Jiraiya backed into a corner in fear while Tsunade held an Anbu by the tea. She hoisted him into the air while said Anbu gulped wishing that his Hokage was here to defuse the situation. What do you mean you can't move his stuff out? I've returned and so the brat's little joyride is over. Tsunade hollered, but the Anbu didn't say anything except this. That might be true Tsunade-sama, but if you would look at the Hokage stone face's teeth, then you would see that the Anbu trailed off while Tsunade gripped him tighter. He just wished he could go and run somewhere right now. Tsunade-sama, Shizune called, making the Godime Hokage turn around. She glared at Shizune and dropped the Anbu, who quickly vanished before he could be grabbed again by the irritated Sannin. Tsunade stomped towards Shizune, with each step shaking the very building that they were standing on. She appeared in front of Shizune, who felt like she could cower under her teacher's gaze, but tried not to. Shizune, what is going on here? Tsunade asked threateningly, to deliver pain to anyone who would deny her the information she wanted. Well, Tsunade-sama, the thing is that the daimyo changed a little rule to your HPT, and instead of 2 years, he permanently named Naruto the Rokudaime Hokage. That's why the Anbu can't comply with your request to move back. Kurenai and I are his secretaries. Besides, Naruto is out at Kiri's Chunin exams and won't be back for another 4 days, Shizune said while Tsunade sighed. Since when could the daimyo do something like that? Well, yeah, the daimyo had to approve of the person in succession to be the Hokage, and that swayed the vote of members, but did he actually have that much power that he could select something himself? Maybe it was a loophole somewhere. Fine, whatever. I'll just talk to the daimyo about this. Oh, and he'll jiraiya while you're at it. He looks like S, Tsunade said as she left the office. Shizune sweet dropped at the large punch print on Jiraiya's face. I'll get right on that, Shizune said with a small sigh. Still, how could Tsunade not see the large Naruto stone face behind the Hokage mansion? It was right there in front of them. Back in Kiri, 2 days later. Quote, I really enjoyed those fights. From all of you. You've all exceeded my expectations, and if Ba-chan was here, then she would say the same to you. I'm sure that she would. I was there for our first Chunin exam and for this one. First, I have to give special recognition to Sasuke and to Fu. Both of you were amazing. Not only for you winning those fights, but even still having the stamina to still pull off what you did. That was very amazing, and the crowd agreed. I hereby promote from Genin to Tokubutsu Jonin, Fu Uzumaki Namikaze and Sasuke Uchiha, Naruto announced, and multiple people clapped as Fu and Sasuke took their flak jackets. Both bowed to Naruto and stepped back while Naruto turned to the others. If I were basing this off the Chunin exam alone, then only a few of you would get this promotion, but I never forgot how well you all did in the war with Taki. Mei-chan, Kana-chan, and Ka-chan all told me just how great all of you did. That's why teams 8, 9 and 10 will all be promoted to Chunin effective immediately, Naruto said while everyone smiled. Thank you, Hokage-sama, they all said in a strange unison that crept Naruto out for a bit before he dismissed them. Everyone soon filed out while Naruto walked out as well before he gave a sad smile. Sorry, Mei-chan, but I have to go back in a hurry. I can't stay as long as I would like to. No doubt we'll still be seeing each other sometime, Naruto said before he vanished out of sight. Near Sunagakure. So Deodara-senpai, are you sure that clay is going to be enough for you? You are going after the Ichibi Jinchuriki. Also, we don't have Sasori-senpai's spy to use. It will all be us. Still, Toby will do as he is told because Toby is a good boy, Toby said while Deodara sighed. This guy was just an idiot. How he was let on Akatsuki Deodara didn't know, but that didn't make it any simpler. Oi Toby, you're too loud. You need to be cool, quiet, more collected. Like Miham, Deodara said while Toby nodded his head vigorously as they continued to advance towards Sunagakure. When Akatsuki had gotten word that Tsunade's Kazekage wasn't going to go to the Chunin exams from Konan, they jumped at the chance to take him out. Since the lose of Sasori to Taki's war, Akatsuki had to push its funds a little bit, but were able to manage and were now ready to begin their operation, and then some. So Toby, who is that guy that you have sealed up in your eye? Deodara asked while Toby smiled behind his mask. He's a good boy just like Toby. He listens to whatever Toby asks of him. He is Toby's best friend. He can fight just like Toby can. When Toby needs him, then he is released, Toby stated while Deodara sweet dropped. Yeah, but who is he? Deodara asked a little more forcefully while Toby grinned. His name is Sato and he will help Akatsuki in what they do. Why? Because Sato is a good boy, Toby said, and Deodara rolled his eyes as they continued to walk. With Nura, the 11th son of Tora was currently walking through Oto. This was the last place that reported ever seeing Yutara, and the man was eager to take his former student out off Mr. Down. Yutara might have been his master as Kami's child, but he was Nura's student first and he wouldn't get away with what he did. Nura had a sword strapped to his back and traditional samurai clothing as he walked through the streets. He only had a small scowl of disgust. Honestly, what does Kami-sama see in these worthless products of F and bone? Nura thought to himself. When he had seen Kami after her rest, he was sure that she might have been crying, but as to the why he didn't know. He had just hoped that she would be all right. Nura continued to walk away before his hearing picked him up on a few words. Sato, left, and abandoned were all he had heard before he walked behind an alleyway to see a group of 5 bandits just eating some dinner. Can you believe that jerk? Threatens us those 2 years ago and then just ups and leaves. I swear I'll kick his ass when I see him again, one of them said, and the others nodded their heads while Nura grabbed his shoulder. Hey, get off me! Who do you think you're touching? The bandit asked while Nura glared at him. Shut your mouth, fool. You said something about Sato. Where is he? Nura asked while the bandits snickered. Wouldn't you like to know? Why don't you send him a message for us? Tell him, no one F's over. One of the shouted as they charged Nura. It was fast as a flash of light, but Nura appeared behind him with his sword sheathed. The man instantly fell to the floor before Nura lunged and pinned one of them to the wall. I won't ask again, fool. Where is Sato Saranzo? Nura asked while the bandits gulped. Back in Konoha, 3 days later. Naruto sighed as he walked up the stairs of the Hokage mansion. Now was the time to go and get that paperwork done that he had put off. He wondered if he could just leave a clone to do it and not be bothered with it, but he figured that he would still need to know the dealings and workings in his village. Fortunately, Kasumi decided to spend some time with him, and Naruto was always thankful for that. However, he couldn't help but wonder about this feeling of dread that was coming over him. It had happened ever since he came into Konoha. People were looking at him like his day of reckoning had come and there was nothing he could do about it. Some people advised him to run, but the Naruto Uzumaki never ran, well, unless he absolutely needed to. Kasumi, do you know what's up with everyone? Naruto asked, helping Kasumi up the stairs. She shook her head left and right that she didn't while Naruto opened the door to his office. It was only thanks to his instincts that were gained from Kyuubi hitting him so hard that Naruto managed to catch the death punch from Tsunade into his left hands. He turned his head to see the real thing in front of him. Biba-chan, when did you get back? Naruto asked, and if Tsunade wasn't angry then she would have been shocked that her punch was blocked, but with Naruto she just tried to stop being like that. 3 days ago, brat. And what's this I hear about you officially becoming the Rokudaime Hokage? I didn't advise this, Tsunade shouted while Naruto gulped. His mind was in overdrive of how to explain all of this to her. Haim, calm down. You know that the daimyo explained it all to you in that letter 1 day ago. You know that Naruto's done well. Although that little Taki war wasn't what I thought it was, Jiraiya said from behind the door while Naruto narrowed his eyes. A war. The brat put us into war with Taki. I knew he wasn't ready for this. Tsunade shouted before Jiraiya placed his hands on her shoulder. Haim, you know you're wrong. Look, Konoha is still standing. People have gone about their business, and besides, it was a year ago. I think Naruto's done just fine. I'm sure Kushina would have done the same if it was like she had figured. See the kid some slack. I mean, just look at how he's grown, Jiraiya said while Tsunade turned to examine Naruto more closely. She saw a 16-year-old blonde Minato with whisker marks. Naruto's bangs came down to the sides of his face. His arms and legs were really toned for any ladies who would want him. His face exuded confidence and authority, and his eyes were as deep as the blue ocean. Tsunade sighed and grumbled before she pulled her punch back, and Naruto dropped his hands from the defensive position. Yoero Senin, how have you been? Naruto asked before Jiraiya patted him on the shoulder. Good, Naruto. It's been a long 2 years, hasn't it? Jiraiya asked while Naruto nodded. In truth, it was a short 2 years since he had seen both of his godparents. It made him feel a lot better knowing that they were all right. So, I've been replaced. Wow, I didn't think it would be that fast, but the village really has nothing to complain about. They say that you did very well, Tsunade complimented while Naruto rubbed the back of his head with a smirk on it. It was then that Jiraiya took a good look at Kasumi before his eyes trailed down to her stomach. Jiraiya widened his eyes before he took a step back and lost his voice. Preg, Jiraiya stuttered as he nearly fell back. Naruto and Tsunade wondered what had happened to him before they took a look at Kasumi. Naruto then knew it and sighed while Tsunade widened her eyes and her hands tightened on Naruto's arms. Oh yeah? I'm Seraph, Naruto thought to himself. Kasumi, is that you? Tsunade asked and Kasumi's response was to flail her tail around with a small and happy smile across her face. Yep, it's me Tsunade-san, Kasumi said while Tsunade looked at her stomach. The brat knocked you up? Tsunade asked out off-holed while Kasumi nodded. Naruto closed his eyes and was ready for the beating of a lifetime, but it never came. Naruto dared to open his eyes before he saw Tsunade looking at him. She just suddenly grinned and brought Naruto into a bone-crushing hug. I'm getting grandchildren. I knew you wouldn't let me down, Naruto. You're so lucky, Tsunade said, forgetting her anger. How could she be angry? Now she had a, wait. What's the gender? Tsunade asked excitedly while Kasumi patted her stomach. A healthy baby girl, she said while Tsunade nodded. She now had a granddaughter to spoil when she was born. Oh, she couldn't wait to teach her so many things. How to punch perverts, how to use her insane strength and how to keep others in line. Tsunade had eyed Jiraiya for some reason before she let Naruto go. Get up, Jiraiya. We're going drinking. This is a good day, Tsunade said while Naruto and Kasumi sweet-dropped. Tsunade paused to consider those words for Kasumi. And drink something non-alcoholic for Kasumi-chan. Now wake up, Jiraiya, Tsunade shouted while Jiraiya was still unconscious, muttering the word, pregnant, over and over again. Oh, and by the way, have you two come up with a name yet? For the child? Tsunade asked while the two parents turned to each other and smiled. Kasumi leaned against Naruto's shoulder as they spoke in unison. Yuna Uzumaki Namikaze, Naruto and Kasumi said at the same time while Kasumi patted her growing stomach. Tsunade thought over the words in her head. A broken part of the kanji for the word, free, in her mind. She nodded before turning back to Jiraiya. We have to celebrate Yuna-chan's arrival when she arrives. Get up, damn it. Tsunade hollered and Naruto was enjoying the daily routine of comedy between the two Sannin while he wrapped an arm around Kasumi's shoulder. It was so funny, until the door bursted open from Shizune. Naruto-sama, urgent news from Suna, Shizune said while Naruto widened his eyes. Jiraiya and Tsunade stopped and got serious while Naruto turned around. What is it? He asked and Shizune read the note. Tsunade and Jiraiya glanced to each other in worry about what might have happened to Tsunade during the time that they were away while Shizune cleared her tea then began. Akatsuki has just captured Kazekage-sama from Sunagakure, Shizune announced and Naruto felt a part of his world shatter into pieces. Gaara, Naruto thought to himself. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.